Hey Jennifer, alright, so here is your past life spread. So what we're going to do is look at where we are, what you do with the majority of your time, an important day with the relationships and feelings involved, another important day with relationships and feelings, the death, and the lesson learned. And we will get hints of time throughout this. So all I'm going to do is relay to you the images and impressions that are coming through on my end. And your job is going to be to try to make connections where you can based off of what does come through and your current life. And I'll try to help however I can. All right? So let's begin. Now, where we're going, what I felt was coming through was it was interesting because, there's some stuff that comes through that I've never had come through before, which is kind of cool. So in this one, it was showing me, already showing me a life in Greece, but then showing me another life in Greece where it was like one aspect of you in one life was kind of like discovering or exploring or studying the whatever you left from the other life in like ancient times or long ago. So that was really interesting because it was like almost like a feeling of being magnetized back to the same space but in just two different timelines, which is really interesting. But the island, again, it's going to be a Greek island. I'm trying to see, like, because I don't know all the islands, but it very well could be the larger one, which I feel like would be like Athens or something, but there's a connection to a smaller island, maybe travel was involved, but it feels like we're going to Greece. And so what it looks like is it feels like the life that's coming through that is a female life takes place, it feels like a long time ago. And I don't know if I'll be continuing this whole past life reading, doing a dual read or not, but for now we're going to go with it as it comes through. So that is the ancient aspect. We're looking at this female, almost like I want to say you would be like a teacher of some kind or a mystery teacher. Something about like teaching the Earth's patterns, something having to do with nature-centric. So a connection you can make with this would be if you're interested in natural remedies, alternative medicines, if you're interested in how the body functions, like Ayurvedic things, like using natural, herbs, spices, what Mother Earth provides in order to find cures or whatever it might be, or even if you like to mix things like alchemy-wise, making I want to say potions, but really today it would be like lotions, or like something that's more about like helping with the body or skincare or anything like that. If you're interested in that, that may be a connection, because I feel like that's what we're looking at when it comes to the older life of the ancient and the more like the historical life as the woman. And it feels like she was with a small group of other women, and it's almost like I want to say how we would think back and consider how they like would treat or the imagery they portrayed about the oracles. It's almost like that, but yours was more like a hand-on cure where is hands-on in the sense of like mixing things, but also it's about like there's like a really feels like a very deep bond with like Earth, the planet Earth, like Mother Nature and nature itself. So this would be, if you're connecting with that at all, it would just be a message for you, like a reminder that you are very connected with the Earth and the planet. And if you're ever feeling stressed, or if you're feeling disconnected, or just feeling off, to go into nature, go barefoot, do your thing, but like go do your, for lack of better words, go do your tree hugging, you know what I mean? Because the energy of the Earth can really revitalize you, and it feels like it would. You just have to go and try if you don't already. Maybe it's something you already know that works for you, but if not, then definitely try it out and see how you feel. So that at the same time, they're showing me this man who is another aspect on another timeline who is going to, it's almost like drawing, like it's like almost like a cave depiction, but it's not so much a cave because it's not as crude as like cave drawings, but it feels like there's an interior space where you and we'll say that small sisterhood that you were with, that where maybe they dwelled. That was feels like a little outside of society. So you could also make connections there, that if you feel like you feel more comfortable in an area that would be, I guess, what you would call the suburb versus right in the center of the hub of the city, where you get some nature, some space, some quiet time, that may appeal to you. On the other hand, you can also make opposite connections where this person really did dwell in nature more than not, outside of a city zone, so to speak. Your soul may have wanted to come back into this life to experience the opposite, which would be someone who craves city life or urban living, because the soul wants to experience something it hasn't yet. That kind of thing. So, make connections, keep making connections where you can. Also, simple connections like, have you ever been pulled towards Greece? Have you ever enjoyed Greece in the way of food, history, culture, language, stories, photographs, the Greek vibe or like aesthetic, if that's ever been appealing to you or emotional in any way, or pulled at you, like that's where you want to go on vacation, that's your ultimate honeymoon, like that kind of thing. If Greece has ever stood out to you in that way, that would certainly be a connection there. And if not, that's perfectly fine. I'm trying to see what else. Oh, so there's also, we mentioned the man who is like kind of like in Greece discovering whatever he's discovering, so that would also speak to an independent kind of exploratory spirit that you may have. So this would be coming up, for example, let's say in your life right now you're feeling lost, or you're feeling bored, or you're feeling like you're in limbo, or you're feeling like, ugh, this is routine, what can I do for excitement, that kind of thing. This would be coming up because it's showing an aspect of you that was adventurous and that did go, explore and have adventures and traveled and saw parts of the world other people didn't see. So that could very well still be part of your soul. So if you feel like you are a restless spirit, as they would say, just someone who's restless, who wants to get out, who needs to move and travel and things like that, it would come from this life as well. And it would definitely be a message to cater to that if you want to. Like, don't feel bad about needing to get away. In fact, if you listen to your urges to get out, get away, go experience things alone, so to speak, you'll bring back a much happier self to the household. So let's say you do have a family, they'll benefit from you catering to yourself and making sure that you're happy first, because then there'll be no resentment, and you can come back and you could fill everyone else up with happiness because you're filled up, so just make sure you're filling yourself up, basically. So we're going to continue, and this card here is what you do with the majority of your time. So the majority of your time, this card is life at sea. And it's really interesting because this is the kind of card that I would get when it's not necessarily what you do for a living, but what you would be kind of doing every day. And I feel like this is kind of both. So life at sea, I feel like speaks to the fact that you live in Greece, the coast is right there, the water is part of your lifestyle, but also your work, what you do as far as, I want to say you commune with Mother Nature, and in that way it's almost like you're a healer or a teacher that teaches things that can help people. Like I feel like there's a medicinal aspect to this, which in your current life, if you've ever felt pulled towards medicine, alternative medicine, nursing, hospice care, taking care of people, providing anything like a service or product for people to help them in some healing way, it could very well come from this life, because we're looking at someone here who I feel like she communed with Mother Nature in the way where she understood it and she was able to utilize it to help others. It wasn't just about, though, I feel like it really wasn't just about like making herbal remedies. I feel like there was something more to it, where it was like using the earth energy and being in tune with your body, being in tune with the earth. It was like a whole method, I feel, almost like it was like a lost ancient kind of, even though we're looking really far back in time here, it feels like this aspect was using something that was even lost and ancient to her people as well. So I dare I say, it feels almost like we're looking at those civilizations that they talk about before, humankind as we know it, like Lemurian or Atlantean or whatever, highly advanced in spirituality and in technology. And it feels like what she is utilizing is like a short form of what came before her. So it's almost like this version of you here is very spiritually tapped in, and it could be coming up to show you that you already are spiritually tapped in. So if you feel like you're doubting yourself or your path, or you're doubting your abilities or whatever gifts you may have, this would be coming up as a reminder to let you know, like, no, you are gifted and you can do what you want to do. You have abilities. If you focus on them and you trust and believe in yourself, they can be resurged, because this is what she did with most of her time. And it's just tapping into like the source, right? So it feels like that would probably be a good angle for you too. If you are bored looking for a new hobby, look into energy work and look into visualization and look into healing. Reiki even might be something that calls to you. So look into Reiki. If you haven't heard of Reiki, try that out. That's a pretty cool and fun first step into like into your spiritual path, so to speak, if you're not aware of other modalities at the time. So life at sea also can speak to how you feel about the water. Water may be very calming, soothing, therapeutic for you, and this is coming up a lot with a lot of readings, actually. And so this would just be a message for you to make sure that when you're feeling disconnected this way or that, go to the water so you can calm down, be at peace, find that quiet place, be with yourself, give you time, I feel like is what's coming through more than anything. Make sure that you are catering to yourself, and make sure you are not taking responsibility that belongs to other people onto yourself. Like, this is a big feeling here of decompression and getting rid of stress, and take time again to go to the water. It might be a pond, a lake, an ocean, whatever works for you. It might even be as simple as if you've been thinking about getting a little like cute little Buddha fountain for your office or your bedroom or something where you can hear the water. That actually might be very good for you. And if you don't even want to spend money on that, then go on YouTube. And there's plenty of like background water or rain sounds that you can play. And I feel like this would be very beneficial to your spirit throughout the day. It would keep you nice and balanced, which I feel like is where you need to be. So let's go to the first important day here. Now, the first important day here, we're seeing a birth happening. So we're looking at a birth, and then right here is the card, which is karmic, and this is the held back card. So it feels very much like they're carrying me through using both lives still. So first they want to mention the life of the healer woman being born in the ancient Greek times, and then they want to mention the life of the aspect of the man who was born to explore and rediscover her work. And so I feel like, and they are the same aspect of themselves, just as they're an aspect of you right now. The reality you're focused on is just one aspect of you. So it feels like all three of you now that we're talking about like are aspects of each other, and you are able here in this big picture kind of way to look in on both of these aspects and how they're affecting each other. And what's coming through very much has to do with the whole circle of things, the cycle of things, how time is an illusion, how things are occurring at the same time, but how it's like there's birth and death, but really there's no death. It's just like this really interesting philosophical thought coming up when we're looking at these two aspects of you. One is creating the work, and the other one is rediscovering it in a way that the other one would never imagine would happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, so far away, but so close. Like, it's the weirdest feeling. It's like time traveling in a second, just in a thought, where this man who's exploring this woman's, her old, like, we'll say her dwelling, is standing exactly where she once stood, you know, but it's the same aspect of the same oversoul. So it's a very intriguing thing. And also this might be coming up because you might find it intriguing to go exploring down that road of quantum physics or time travel or like journeying with your consciousness, and the idea of time being illusion. And honestly, I want to just go ahead and recommend this book that I love, and I recommend it all the time to friends and people, and it's called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. I think Walsh is his name, I think. But Conversations with God, it's super cool, and it's not religious, and it explains illusions in such a way where you get like a lot of aha moments from it, and it totally resonates. Like, it's very, very good book. So anyway, I'm going to recommend that. But we are talking about the karmic card here too, because it's just showing you that a couple things coming through. One is how you can have karma with yourself. Like, one aspect of you made a contract with another aspect of you to find the work and keep it going. So there's karma involved with yourself. It's not even other people. And this may be coming up because it may feel like you are holding yourself back. Like there might be something happening in your life right now where you know that you're not taking the step, or maybe you need to like look at something right now and realize that you're the one not taking the step, that you're the one holding yourself back. And truly, I feel like this is coming up as a message for you of just that if you feel held back in life, it is because there is something in your belief system that does not agree with the belief or fact that you deserve it. Okay, because this is like the whole basis of manifestation is about your belief system. So if you believe you deserve something, you will acquire it. But if there's a piece of you that feels that is in dissonance with that desire, then you're not going to see yourself manifest it or attain it. So this is just a message to you to make sure you're not fooling yourself. Make sure you're not in denial about something, even from yourself. Make sure you're not repressing necessary things that need to be processed and moved through and, emotionally attended to. This could be about like even childhood trauma, like, pushing it away. Most of us do. And it's like there comes a time when you're going to have to decide, do I want to move forward? Do I want to be healed? Do I want to meet the potential of who I can be, and that takes guts, and it takes going over, going through some things and making sure, touching base with parts of you that you might not be used to touching base with, just to check in with yourself, and start to make this a daily thing where you're checking in on yourself so you never fool yourself again, if that makes sense. So keep making connections there where you can. So I guess when we're looking at this whole day, though, it's really just about that idea of birth and death and birth and death. It's showing me the dual birth, the karma with the other, and the feelings of, there's a feeling of being held back only in the sense of like not being able to connect the dots because we're only human. So this is coming up, it feels like just a reminder to you that you are only human. Don't beat yourself up. Don't get hard on yourself. If you make a mistake, learn from it and move on. Don't dwell on the mistake. Don't punish yourself. People have a tendency to punish themselves, especially women. Make sure you're not doing that to yourself. You have to be your best friend in this if you want to move forward. So just make sure you're not the one that's holding yourself back. And honestly, though, as soon as you realize that and you open those doors, it's like there's no stopping. So have fun with that. And keep making connections where you can when it comes to this. This can also, really quickly, it could speak to if you've ever had a yearning in your life or a weird feeling in your life that there's another part of you out there, or you feel like if you've ever felt like there's a piece of you missing or a piece of you out there that you'll meet again, even though I know it's the weirdest, most random thing to say. But, we have these weird thoughts come in and out of our lives for a reason. So that would actually take care of that as well, as far as these two aspects kind of standing in the same place. Anyway, so let's go to the next important day. Keep making connections. And so this next important day here is the marriage card. And so it's usually someone's getting married or there's a marriage happening that's important. This is the soul group. And this here is lonely. And so what it feels like is coming through is it feels like you are bearing witness to the union of someone from your close group of sisterhood or friends or family or whatever, whoever this group you live with, you're bearing witness to a union between her and another person. Like she's fallen in love, and it's almost how like if a nun were to fall in love with a priest and they leave the sisterhood and the priestship or whatever and run away with each other kind of thing, is what it kind of feels like. And it just it's showing it's an important day because there's a new feeling involved that you have to understand about yourself, and it's something you already know, being of nature, how there's a cycle, again, this feeling of cycle coming through, and how things do come to an end. And so it's just on this day you're experiencing it. This aspect of you is actually experiencing having to let go of someone, having to readjust your standards and expectations, having to not judge someone just because of a certain thing, a choice they've made, and realizing it's their choice, kind of like it. So on this day, what it feels like is you're blending everything you've learned and everything you're teaching into more of it, like integrating it more into like who you are and taking it from your own experience now. Like you're seeing like, oh, this is just one of those experiences in my life that I was missing because I didn't know how it felt. I theorized what it felt like. I taught people how to react to it and what's good and proper, but I never went through it myself. And now here she is, this aspect going through one of the things that she would be teaching emotional intelligence about, basically, and how nature works with things. So it's kind of like an aha day, but it's this melancholy day as well. The lonely feeling comes through, like melancholic. So that can come through and connect with you in certain ways, such as like a reminder of not to judge other people for their experience, because they're learning something from it themselves. And when you let go of any judgment, you really do move ahead quite a bit, so to speak. Not that we're comparing or like competing, but you know what I mean. Like, you expand, you grow. This is also a gentle reminder about, you know, treating the ones in your soul group, the ones that you treasure, your precious people, your tribe, treating them with respect and understanding and being there for them and not judging them, and also making sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who don't judge you, who treat you with respect, who give you that courtesy, if that makes sense. So keep making connections there where you can. This also can speak if you go in little slumps or melancholy slumps, or like these periods of time when you don't want to deal with people or socialize. This would be a connection as well, it feels like, because it feels like because someone left, it was like, honestly, what if overall the theme is abandonment right here. So it's about readjusting your definition of abandonment, realizing that not to take it personally, which can be a message to you that if you find that you do take things personally, it's something you're going to want to pay attention to and see if you do, because that can hold you back in huge ways, and it can also damage relationships. You might not be realizing you might not realize you're damaging on your end because you're taking things personally that should never be taken personally, that kind of thing. So it could be a message for you just to review your actions and reactions in your own relationships. If you find that over time, a friend, you find a friend goes this way or that way, or you're having a hard time relating to certain people in your family or friend or your friend group or whatever it is, just do, again, check in with yourself, make sure that you aren't judging others, and that you're showing truly who you are and not behaving in a way you think that they want you to behave, that kind of thing. Also touching base with that, because if that's how you're feeling, then that's also telling you that you're maybe not with the right group of friends or people. You should always be with people who encourage you and who are there for you and who don't judge you. So again, that judgment theme is coming up. We want to move away from judgment, whether, again, it's yourself or feeling like others around you, the ones you surround yourself with, are judging you. You want to move away from that. Let's see what else is here. So marriage itself can be very interesting. It can either, one, you could be someone who doesn't find it necessary, like you just don't have a thing for marriage, simply because I feel like this aspect of you here did not get married. It feels like it was, for lack of better terms, like a cloister, like a nunship, but it does not feel like Christian or anything like that. They're just giving me the feeling of it because it feels like, again, like a sisterhood, and there's something about, worship in it, and there's something also like about maybe not celibacy, maybe not celibacy in particular, but definitely like there's not like, no one has a mate. So that's why this was such a big day, because it shook you out of the norm. So this is also a message for you to step outside of your comfort zone. You might be hesitating. There might be something on your mind you want to try. Maybe there's something that has come across your radar recently and you're like, oh, but that's not me. That might be the thing that you need to do in order to step out of your comfort zone, or if you're given an opportunity by a friend to step outside of your comfort zone, even if it's something like someone invites you to a play that you would never go to because it's just not your style or your taste, it's like, well, just go anyway and just try it out and see, like try to see opportunities as like signs, like if someone does come to you with a ticket to something, well, they're coming to you. They could have gone anywhere else and they're coming to you. It's like, why not go for it if you are available? You know what I mean? Like, again, step outside your comfort zone, outside the box, because in taking those little risks, you're going to see a lot of rewards. And I feel like I've been saying that with a lot of readings lately. It's about getting outside the comfort zone. I feel like there's like this pivotal time happening right now where all these readings are coming through for people to step outside your comfort zone, because we're looking for people to expand. Maybe you've heard of the Ascension. Maybe you've heard of the New Earth. If not, look it up. But this is all about expansion, growth, moving up, so to speak, in your energetic body and your fields and stuff like that, higher vibrations, right? So that's why I feel like this is coming up a lot, because that's one way to raise your vibrations, is to face those fears, get outside your comfort zone, expand your awareness. So let's go and keep making connections where you can here, but let us go to the death. And here is Let the Waters Take Me Under. It's a water card, death by water. And it's really funny because death by water, it's, a lot of times it's like, oh, drowning or other weird ways, but this literally is death by water. Like, they're just letting me know that you died where you lived, near the water. And we're sticking with the ancient woman in Greece more than anything here. That man just kind of ended right there. But, yeah, so she died along the water, and it's even like, it's where I feel like what they're doing is placing me where I can hear the waves. So it feels like her death sound was the waves. And that could affect you in such ways where, one, you might be terrified of water, or two, you might feel super peaceful near water. Because this death, I say you might be terrified of water only because people who die near water, if it's like not an easy death, they, it might translate that way. But here, this was a very like lovely death. I don't know how else to say it except that it was just very peaceful, and it was understood, and it was acknowledged, and it was allowed, and it was just a peaceful passing later in life, much older. And it's like a life well lived, a life well served, and she died to the sound of waves. And so again, those waves, even playing it on YouTube, might bring you a lot of clarity and peace and calmness in your life. If you again, a little mini waterfall in your house, whatever you need to do to get that water near you, I feel like it'll be very helpful. So the last thing we have going on here is the lesson. And so this lesson here is about brains and using your mind and being strategic. And even in some instances, this card means like academic, intellectual. And I feel like this lesson is coming up because this is exactly what this life was not about. It wasn't about competitiveness and intellect and keeping up with the Joneses and being left-brained and strategic and you making money and all these like things that it's almost like a lot of us are forced to do in the Western world, is to have this mentality where it's all brain and mind and getting ahead of people and being the smartest and being the most intellectual and best and this and that. And it's like, no, like that's what it's actually, it's completely opposite of what it's about. And that's why it's like the rare gems that understand that, they leave that lifestyle and they're able to tune into a more like gentle, peaceful lifestyle where it's more about the heart, more about the body and the mind. And I say the mind because the brain is not the mind. This is more about the brain, even though it says mind here, but this is about brain, intellect, strategy, left brain stuff. And the mind can encompass, your imagination, your creativity, the flow, accessing energy and the source and all that wonderful stuff. And so I feel like we're being shown this card because it's like this message for you in your current life. You need to know that you can do both. You don't have to shut down your brain in order to open up your heart. You can use both, and you can be very powerful using both. And it's like, the message is like, don't not discredit yourself, but don't take away from what you are. Like, if you want to pursue all these different avenues in life, let's say, go for it, even if they're very different, because we're taught that you have to master one thing in this life, and that's how you become that's how you're the best. That's how we can be the best, is by being the best at what we do and mastering and usually it's a career, right? And that's all brain stuff. And so it's like, you need to just take a step back and not feel pressured to do just that, because you can also do those things, but also pay attention to your creative side and your peaceful side and your Zen side and your spiritual side and the side that wants to meditate and just breathe and just watch the sunset and calm down and slow down and meditate. You know what I mean? So again, it's this overall lesson that you can fuse your creativity with your brain power and go very far with that. So anyway, there is your past life. There is the lesson, keep making connections with it. There's the past life. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're able to make some connections. And let's see, there was, one more thing about the time. Obviously, I can't get it direct time, but we are looking again at what we consider ancient times, what we would consider the great philosophers, or even before that kind of thing, where it's not highly recorded down, but there is something to find, as we saw with the split aspect. And then the split aspect, I feel like he was doing some exploring. It felt like So it felt like maybe the 1800s and beyond that, actually. 18 up is what it feels like. So more modern, I guess. Anyway, so I hope you can make some connections yourself, and thanks for letting me read you.